We are told using alcohol creates happy hours. It's the sign of hospitality. It's a must to celebrate joyful occasions with. No holiday is a holiday without it. It helps romance develop. In fact, we're advised to make alcohol part of our civilized life, an ingredient of our culture. Actually, alcohol is a toxic, mind-altering drug, and it's the most abused drug in Western societies. In the United States, 100 million people drink alcohol. It's estimated that 1 out of every 7 persons over the age of 14 is in some stage of alcoholism. Some will seek help from physicians and treatment centers and recover from alcohol abuse. With others, alcohol is the winner. Alcohol contributes to some 60% of all automobile accidents. Alcohol has a part in close to 70% of all homicides. And altogether, it costs society over $60 billion annually. What are the effects of alcohol on the human body? What are the facts? I'd like to tell you what alcohol does to your body. Now, by you, I mean not only people who drink heavily, but also those of you who are social drinkers, or those who haven't yet started drinking. First of all, let me dispel the popular misconception that alcohol is a stimulant. The opposite is true. It's a sedative. Now, how it affects you depends on what you drink, how fast you drink, how much you weigh, whether your stomach is full or empty, and what other drugs you've taken. As soon as alcohol enters the body, it begins its harmful effects. Absorption of alcohol into the bloodstream starts in the mouth, and its toxicity can worsen existing oral ailments. For example, a small lesion in the mouth, irritated by prolonged alcohol consumption, can turn into cancer. Alcohol can also damage the bronchi, or windpipes. If regular alcohol use is combined with smoking, the chance of developing cancer in the mouth, throat, esophagus, and bronchi becomes 15 times greater than among non-drinkers and non-smokers. In this picture, we look down the bronchi as they normally appear. Here, a lumpy whitish mass closes off the air passages. It's cancer, the result of alcohol and smoking. Alcohol, once in the stomach, can attack its interior lining. It increases the secretion of hydrochloric acid, which is normally needed for the digestion of food. Now, this overflow of acid, together with the alcohol, can erode the delicate tissues of the stomach wall and the underlying vessels. Over a period of time, the result may be hemorrhage and ulceration. This condition is called alcoholic gastritis, and it can be fatal. Up to 1/3 of the alcohol consumed is absorbed in the stomach, and the rest in the small intestine, called duodenum. Here, the alcohol may cause duodenal ulcers. Now, these ulcers may be painful. On the other hand, the nerve endings might be deadened by the alcohol, so the person may not feel the pain of an ulcer and not seek medical aid in time to be helped.
I began drinking as a teenager, progressing from small quantities of drinks to large, enormous quantities of alcohol to this age, 52. I did eat a lot with my drinking, but it was the wrong food, no nutrition. I bloated to such enormous size, I got so disgusted with myself that I went into crash diets, and I discovered the world of amphetamines. Dexedrine was my drug for 15 years, along with alcohol. I suffered many times from an intestinal ulcer till finally surgery. My blood sugar rose to a high, an extreme high, and I had a diabetic coma on the freeway driving my car. I was in the hospital and woke up. I was still alive, and I still drank. I've been sober now for quite a while, and I pray that I never find it necessary to drink again. You know, I do have a choice. I can either drink and die, or I can not drink and live. I choose to live.
Alcohol's greatest toll is on the liver. It manufactures many products vital for a healthy body. Among others, the liver makes the chemical substances that help the blood clot. It produces glucose for energy, protein for growth, and bile for the digestion of fatty foods. It also neutralizes toxic substances in the body. Alcohol disrupts these and all the other functions of the liver. Liver disease is the #1 cause of death among alcoholics. Every day, the digestive system itself produces about as much alcohol as there is in 1 quart of light beer. However, the liver metabolizes this alcohol, so none of it gets into the circulation. Now, when the liver is overwhelmed by too much alcohol, it can't cope with the task of detoxifying the alcohol, and the excess calories accumulate as fat. And when this happens, the liver becomes enlarged. Here's a healthy liver. It weighs about 3.5 pounds. This liver of a chronic alcoholic weighed 15 pounds. The microscopic picture here shows healthy liver cells. Alcohol replaces them with massive deposits of fat, which obstruct the liver's functions.
I had been drinking vodka for a long time, but there was no indication that I was sick. I didn't consider myself an alcoholic, although my energy level was down, and on several occasions I had the shakes. My wife decided that I needed to see a doctor who determined that I was suffering from a fatty liver. With medication and care, my liver has now rejuvenated itself. But I must warn you that the absence of pain does not mean that your drinking is not damaging your body.
When a person with a fatty liver keeps on drinking, inflammation of the liver, alcoholic hepatitis, may result. If alcohol consumption still continues, then scars, dead tissue begin to form in the liver, distorting and constricting it. This stage is called cirrhosis. During the process of blood circulation, all blood returning to the heart must filter through the liver. A swollen, scarred liver constricts the veins inside it. This results in a blockage of circulation in the liver and a formation of alternate fragile vessels in the surrounding areas. In the esophagus, where it enters the stomach, these newly formed vessels can swell to the thickness of a pencil as they try to take over the blood load of the constricted veins. They're similar to varicose veins and are under great pressure. They rupture easily and are the cause of frequent death. You can see the many burst veins in this esophagus of a man who is drinking heavily. When the liver breaks down, it can no longer control the production and the processing of bile. As a result, bile enters the bloodstream and is carried to all the tissues of the body. This condition is called jaundice, and it's characterized by a yellowness of the skin and the eyes. These are some of the side effects of cirrhosis of the liver, a disease which is the 8th leading cause of death nationally and 4th among men over 40. Contrary to popular belief, neither a nutritious diet nor any amount of vitamins can counteract the damage which alcohol wreaks upon the liver. Now, let's see what alcohol does to another vital organ of the digestive system, the pancreas. This gland secretes enzymes which are indispensable for the digestion of our food. It produces important hormones, including insulin. Alcohol can cause an inflammation of the pancreas, called alcoholic pancreatitis. It tends to occur in younger drinkers, mostly males. As the disease progresses, the incompletely digested food passes out in the stool. The person loses weight, suffers from constant nausea, and often terrible pain. A decrease in the production of insulin by the pancreas can also bring about alcoholic diabetes.
I started drinking when I was 14 years of age. By the time I became 18, I was a full-fledged alcoholic. By the time I was 27, I had multiple physical problems. See, I had hallucinations, seizures, loss of memory, blackouts. But the most severe pain I ever experienced in my life was acute pancreatitis. It was such a pain, like a knife in your stomach. I felt as though my back was broken, my stomach was bloated, and the pain was so tremendous. Believe me, I really thought about suicide. Today, you're looking at your actual proof, what I overcame by not drinking.
Hemorrhagic inflammation may lead to gangrene of the pancreas, which is often fatal. Prolonged drinking can ultimately cause the gland to shrivel up, become hard and calcified as its tissues die. Frequently, stones develop inside the ducts of the pancreas, blocking them off. Alcohol can have adverse effects on the heart and circulation as well. Its continued abuse can create high blood pressure and an increased risk of stroke. It may cause arteriosclerosis, a hardening and thickening of the wall of the arteries. Here's the cross-section of a normal artery and of another one damaged by arteriosclerosis. Alcohol can also weaken the heart's muscle wall. Now, this disease is called alcoholic cardiomyopathy. The heart becomes enlarged and flabby, unable to pump a sufficient amount of blood throughout the body and to itself. The muscle fiber of the heart remains permanently damaged. As the heart is deteriorating, the lungs often fill up with water. The person may suffer breathing difficulties, feel constantly exhausted, and at night, they may even have to sit up just to catch their breath. Here's the X-ray of a normal heart. And this is the bloated heart of a habitual drinker. Alcohol can also injure the nerve system of the heart, so that its normal rhythm becomes irregular and chaotic. The result can be sudden death. Age doesn't make a difference. Even college students have been known to die from this kind of cardiac disorder after a few days of binge drinking. This heart, with its dilated chambers, belonged to an alcoholic woman in her 30s. If you are a pregnant woman, you should know that alcohol can cause irreversible abnormalities in the development of your unborn child. The alcohol you drink quickly flows from you to your baby in the same concentration. Because it's still growing, your baby's delicate system is more easily damaged than yours. Children born to women who drink excessively show a recognizable pattern of birth defects, which is called the fetal alcohol syndrome. Physically, these children are undersized and underweight. As a rule, they have smaller than normal heads, small eyes, and short upturned noses. Many are affected with eye problems or heart defects.
I really don't know where to start. All I know is that every night I go into a room and I look at her and I see what the doctors call physical deformities. All I want to do is just pick her up and melt away all those physical handicaps. If I had known, I wouldn't have had all those drinks. Nobody ever told me. And I didn't think it would happen to me. For God's sakes, if you want to have a healthy baby, don't drink.
Most children with fetal alcohol syndrome are also mentally retarded. This is a 7-month-old baby with fetal alcohol syndrome. Since no one knows how little or how much alcohol may damage an unborn baby, your safest choice as a pregnant woman is not to drink at all. We do know, though, the more you drink, the more you increase the risk of having a baby with birth defects. Alcohol also suppresses the secretion of a hormone responsible for uterine contractions. As a consequence, women who drink may have more difficult labor and delivery. Spontaneous abortions are also more frequent among drinkers. And don't forget, if you drink and nurse your baby, you pass alcohol to the baby through your breast milk. Alcohol can also damage the muscular system of the body. The muscles lose their tone. They become weak and flabby and have less energy to perform. The muscle fibers of many alcoholics appear similar to those of people with muscular dystrophy. Shaking hands and painful muscle cramps in the arms and legs are common. Prolonged use of alcohol and the resulting malnutrition can give a person the appearance of wasting away.
On a nice day like this, I sometimes come out to the park. I soak up a little vitamin D from the sun to strengthen my bones. Alcohol has made them brittle. Heavy drinking has fouled up my digestive system. For years, I've practically lived on alcohol and ate very little. As a consequence, my stomach has shrunk, and it now takes me about an hour just to eat a simple meal. I used to weigh 160 pounds. Now I'm down to 107. A few more months of booze, and I probably wouldn't be alive today. If I hadn't stopped drinking, alcohol would have wasted me completely. I've done a lot of thinking lately. I've been trying to figure out how I got so far down alcohol alley. How can I put my life back in order? Will I ever have enough strength to work again? Will my body ever recover? Yes, I certainly have a lot to think about.
The skeletal system is also impaired by excessive drinking. Alcohol in the system depletes its calcium content, reducing bone density, which in turn increases the risk of fractures. Heavy drinkers break their bones more easily than non-drinkers. This is the cross-section of a normal vertebra. And this is how an alcoholic's vertebra looks. Backaches and back operations are more frequent among heavy drinkers. Inside the bones, the bone marrow produces red and white blood cells. Alcohol inhibits the manufacture of blood cells. As a result, the body's immune system is severely weakened. Without enough white blood cells to fight infection, drinking people are liable to contract more diseases than non-drinkers. They also become anemic, bleed more easily, and their wounds heal more slowly. Alcohol attacks the urogenital system, too. Frequent alcohol intake causes inflammation of the kidneys, which in turn is followed by fatty deposits. With the filtration function of the deteriorating kidneys impaired, waste products accumulate in the body, while important substances, such as protein, leave the blood and pass out of the body. Retained stagnating urine can lead to chronic urinary tract infections. Alcohol also interferes with sexual functioning, especially in men. Alcohol is not a sexual stimulant. It's just the opposite. As Shakespeare said, drink provokes desire, but takes away the performance. Alcohol makes the testicles shrink, which results in a decrease of the production of male hormone. This condition is known as testicular atrophy, and it can lead to impotence. In women, alcohol may cause an atrophy of the ovaries. On top of the kidneys are two small glands called adrenal glands. Among other things, they produce female hormone in both sexes. One of the functions of the liver in men is to eliminate this female hormone. An alcohol-injured liver can't do this. That's why heavy drinkers often develop female characteristics, such as decrease of body hair, flabbiness, enlargement of the breasts, plus an inability to function sexually. Alcohol inflicts some of its most serious damage on the central nervous system. It first hits the more complex, higher brain centers, which control behavior, speech, memory, reasoning, self-restraint, and judgment. This impairment of mental activity is followed by a loss of control over body movements, lack of coordination, and slowed reflexes, including eye motion, with the possibility of blurred vision. No wonder that more than half of all motor vehicle accidents are caused by drivers under the influence, and that alcohol-related traffic accidents are the leading cause of teenage death.
I've always been a partier. I started drinking regularly by the time I was 15 years old. I used to drink beer and a little bit of wine. Then I graduated to mixed drinks. With my fake ID card, I could get into bars. My biggest problem was drinking and driving. When I get behind the wheel, I had double vision. Blurred vision. You couldn't tell what the heck was going on. But I thought I was a good driver. I mean, I'd drive 70 miles an hour on the wrong side of the road, and I just had all kinds of fun until I started running into houses and off the road and numerous wrecks. And by the time I'd gotten too many DUIs, I said, hey, there's something wrong. I went to a treatment program, and I learned that you can have fun without drinking.
More serious than the immediate effects of intoxication are the long-term damages of prolonged drinking on the nervous system. For example, alcoholic polyneuritis is an inflammation of the nerves. It consists of painful tinglings in the hands and feet. Blackouts are a loss of memory about recent events. Progressive tiny brain hemorrhages and the shriveling up of brain cells in cerebral atrophy constitute still other effects. These are but a few of the frequent results of alcohol abuse on the nervous system. Brain cells, once destroyed by booze, will never grow back again. In conclusion, I want you to be aware that alcohol is a drug. It's toxic and it's addictive. A person dependent on alcohol may suffer withdrawal illness called delirium tremens, which may include shakes, seizures, and terrifying hallucinations. With the exception of the ear, alcohol may cause serious damage to every organ in the body. Psychosis is more frequent among alcohol abusers than among users of any other drug. Close to 50% of the admissions to state mental hospitals and 1/3 of all admissions to hospitals are alcohol-related. Ultimately, chronic alcohol abuse may lead to death. Now, do you still think that alcohol is really for you? Do you find it necessary for a good life? Does alcohol mean the absolute dream? What you saw and heard here is all true. Will you please remember this for your next happy hour?